What is up, duelists? Arts and Crafts here, celebrating 14 straight days of daily GOAT format action. That is 2 straight weeks of feature matches here on the Dueling Book GOAT format ladder. As always, today, bringing you a feature match, we've got Goat the Spicy versus Thalas777, who has been featured on this channel before. Both players rated in the top 200 spots on the Dueling Book GOAT format ranked ladder, so some high rated content here for you today. Let's get right into it. Goat the Spicy is going to lead out by winning the RPS, choosing to go first. They're going to fire off a Delinquent Duo to start us off, so very solid opening, likely going to be going up a card for minimal effort. And they hit a Magician of Faith, which is a great card to snag. But Thalas does have the Sinister Serpent in hand, so Duo is just going to be a 1-for-1 here. Thalas having the Serpent to prevent it from getting maximum value. Upstart here from Goat Spicy, dig a little bit further into the deck, into Pot of Greed as well, so double Trinity start here, not too bad for them. We're going to set a couple back row pass. Thalas here, you are only down a card, despite the double Trinity open, thanks to your Sinister Serpent. Let's see how you can respond. We're going to get a Trap Dust Shoot after the Serpent was regrabbed, which definitely makes sense. My screen has frozen. Nope. Okay, we're good. No worries, everybody. Let's reveal everyone's hands. See what we're rocking with here. So Thalas rocking another Magician of Faith here, and that Serpent that we know about. But besides that, the hand is all spell and traps. Whereas Goat the Spicy here, hand we got Solemn Judgment, Chaos Sorcerer, Tribe Infecting Virus, and Mystic Swordsman level 2. So not two cards that you always see together here, the Mystic Swordsman and the Chaos Sorcerer. So this could be some sort of like Chaos Warrior list, potentially. Could be interesting. Whereas Thalas so far looks like they're just rocking a pretty standard. You know, in GOAT format, you have to assume it's turbo until proven otherwise, and I haven't seen anything that showing it is not turbo yet. But if you are GOAT here, you probably just shuffle back. Yeah, I mean, you're not worried about Faith plus Knock. You don't really have an answer for Serpent, so you probably just send back the Serpent. Seems like the play, and that's what we'll see. So Serpent sticking around long enough to protect Thalas from Delinquent Duo, but Goat saying, I've had enough, let's shuffle that back. And now they just have the Magician of Faith in hand in terms of monsters. Just going to set a back row pass. Could be Bluff Set Knock, could be Torrential Tribute, could be Mirror Force. Most likely is Torrential if you're Thalas. Into an open board, of course, kind of makes the most sense there. Goat the Spicy here with complete info, knowing that the opponent doesn't really have too much action going on. Jar of Greed here just to dig a little bit further. We're just going to set a couple back row pass. Makes sense. You know, you don't really want to run out that tribe that we know about too quickly because you're not really going to get too much value for it, and it's probably a little bit too early in the game to go for the 1600 vanilla beatdown plan. Nothing really forcing you to use that right now. Might as well try and get some value for your good, limited cards. Same idea with Mystic Swordsman level 2, attacking for 900 a turn. I mean, it is a 10-turn clock, but you'd rather get a little bit of value, especially when you know your opponent's sitting on a Magician of Faith in hand. And then we also know there's a dead Sork in hand currently as well. So not too much action right out of the gate here for either player. Just trying to wait until they can draw into some more action, seems like here. Thalas is going to set another back row pass. Definitely could be that Mirror Force that we know about. Goat Spicy, you're just going to go ahead and normal summon the Mystic Swordsman. So saying, all right, let me get some action in. Let me start applying some pressure. This 10-turn clock ain't nothing. Gonna get in for 900. And if you're Goat the Spicy, I think this is totally fine because you don't really care if your opponent mirror forces this. You don't really care if they torrential tribute this. So kind of like normal summon attack with Sangan, like we often see out of like turbo lists. It's just a nice like safe way to apply pressure because you don't really care if your opponent answers it with any of their cards because it generally will just kind of trade favorably a lot of the time. So Thalas here, you're staring down a clock. Not too crazy though, so you don't have to go too insane to try and answer this. And we're just going to get draw pass. Going to probably take another 900 here. That's what we'll see. Oh, so we are just going to get the Mirror Force. And like I said before, if you're go the Spicy, you were totally fine with that. Your Mystic Swordsman wasn't doing a whole lot otherwise. And you just baited out a Mirror Force there. So totally fine. Just going to pass, though, not adding any more monsters onto the board. Talos here does have a set monster and a back row pass. We know that there was Magician of Faith in hand, but still no spells in grave. And we know the other set is pretty much always going to be Torrential Tribute. We know there's Knock in hand that the Spicy is probably going to want to play around. So interesting, not sure what this other back row would be. Or the set monster, of course, could also just not be the Magician of Faith. Go the Spicy, we've got Don Zalug. So yeah, probably is just some sort of like Chaos Warrior deck, right? If you're running Swordsman and Don Zalug main deck plus Chaos Sorcerer main deck, it's probably just a Chaos Warrior list. We got Raigeki Break, discard Sinister Serpent, so nice use there to try and presumably, I guess the idea is you want to pop the set monster. Yeah, you want to pop the set monster and get in for some value with the Don here. It's a Dekoichi too, pretty good one. It does turn on Chaos for your opponent, but you didn't see any when you hit them with Dust Shoot. So you might not be super duper worried about that just yet. And now with Mirror Force gone, smartly normal summoning the Don Zalug before using the Raigeki Break, so you play around the known Torrential Tribute. And now your Don Zalug is probably just going to get in and start ripping cards out of your opponent's hand. So we hit for 14. Ooh, no, we've got Book of Moon here. So finally getting a spell engraved for the Faith that we know is stuck in hand. This is a temporary -1 if you don't have, or could be a permanent -1 if you don't have a way to deal with Don Zalug efficiently on the clapback. But you do protect your hand. You might make the call that, okay, I'd rather get a spell engrave and not risk losing a better card than Book of Moon in my hand. And it also saves you 1,400 points of damage. So totally fine using Book here. And if you have like a breaker or something that can just beat over the Don Zalug on your own turn, then this is just really good. And we're just going to go ahead, add a back row pass. Thalos here, do you have a way of dealing with the Don Zalug permanently? Gonna fire off a Thunder Dragon here. Okay. Just gonna grab a couple of copies of that. Nothing crazy going on just yet. They do have Nobleman of Cross out there, so Don Zalug actually getting a nice 2-for-1. Book plus Knock being used to dispatch it. But, if this is a warrior list like we think it is, you're not going to get a lot of value out of Knock otherwise, so you're kind of fine going a little bit negative here just to get value out of your cards, because otherwise it's probably just stuck dead in your hand. We're going to get Set a Monster Pass. Definitely could be that Magician of Faith now that there are a couple targets in grave. Book of Moon, probably the likely target. Just knowing that it's generally a pretty good card against Warrior, as we just saw. Go with the Spicy. You're going to recur that Serpent that they just used to good effect with their Raigeki Break. And we're going to normal summon Didi Warrior Lady. Quite a good card. And we've got Nobleman of Cross out of their own here to banish that Faith that you assume would have been the set there. And we'll see if both players are rocking any Faiths. Like Thalos is on at least, well, I guess, yeah. Thalos is on the full 3. So, triple Faith, at least one Book main. So potentially, are we net decking the world's winning list? Potentially. The Chaos Turbo strategy that Alvarado won Worlds with notably was running no Night Assailants, triple Magician of Faith, double Book of Moon, which is pretty unorthodox, but hey, it won Worlds, so must be good, right? But yeah, Nobleman of Cross out there, clearing the way for DD Warrior Lady to go and get in for 15, and now, as a Warrior player, you're totally happy to start applying some pressure here. Thalos, do you have a response? You're going to set a monster pass. Go to the Spicy. Do you have any way of removing that? We got Raigeki Break in standby phase, discarding that known Sinister Serpent. Doing it in standby phase, so you can just immediately re-grab the Serpent after this chain resolves as well. And you hit another Dekoichi, so doing a really good job of preventing any flip monsters from resolving here. That's kind of the key. That's why warrior decks are generally quite good against turbo. That's kind of the idea behind the deck is turbo gets a lot of value anytime any of their flip monsters are able to resolve. So warrior is very much built. We've got Mystic Swordsman. This version has Raigeki breaks. Of course, you got Nobleman of Crossout, stuff like that. You got Exiled Force, most likely. All ways to prevent flip monsters from resolving and kind of ensuring that you have the tempo advantage here as the more aggressive player in the matchup. So yeah, regrabbing that Serpent here in the standby phase. Just going to go ahead and get in for 15 again. Goat the Spicy doing a really good job continuously applying pressure here. Thalys very much on the back foot, but not out of it just yet. Thalys looks like they drew into a Chaos monster here. Gonna slam down a Chaos Sorcerer. We know Goat the Spicy has one of their own in hand currently, but very, very far away from being able to use it. No lights or darks in grave yet, and looks like their DD Warrior Lady is about to get banished as well. So DD Warrior Lady, it is a light monster, so you might think, okay, it's good in Chaos strategies because there aren't that many good lights. But it's kind of a fake light, right? Because most of the time, if you're using it well, it'll get banished by its own effect. So it's like if you're doing like a count of lights, count of darks to make sure you can enable Chaos monsters, you would maybe count DD Warrior Lady as like a half light or something like that. Just definitely not a full one. But yeah, the Sorg is going to hit the field. Go the Spicy, do you have a response? We're going to see Solemn Judgment out of them. We knew that that was in hand from when we revealed hands earlier from the Dust Shoot. So using it to keep their pressure alive. The life point cost here from Solemn's not as big a deal when you are the one applying pressure. Your life total only matters when your opponent's able to actually threaten it, right? So using it to maintain board advantage and pressure advantage, I think makes total sense here, and prevent your opponent from getting the free plus as well. Now, notably, Thalys still does have Chaos active here, had a second Light Engrave, and they do have double Thunder Dragon in it as well, so they always have that as an option too. But Goat the Spicy, this DD Warrior Lady getting tons of value here just as a 1500 beater. I'm going to go attacking again, dropping Thalys down to 3600, and everything's pretty much going to plan here if you're Goat the Spicy. Just going to pass, though, no back row, so a little bit exposed here. Interesting to see how Thalys might be able to punish this. They're going to go ahead with another Chaos Monster, as I might have foretold last turn. Slam down Blackluster Soldier here, and with no back row, no Solemn here, DD Warrior Lady will end up just getting banished. And that is a couple big boys down here in this mid game from Thalys. One back row here to potentially protect the BLS. I think we know that's got to be the Torrential Tribute, though, right? So not a great way of protecting your own BLS. So a lot of stuff here that Go the Spicy could have in deck to deal with this. Heavy Storm, blow up the Torrential, that's fine. Normal Summon Tribe, nice. Tribe with the Sinister combo, blow up the BLS. And it's a 1600 body to get in for even more damage. So dealing with playing around the known stuff from the Dust Shoot earlier quite well. Yeah, I guess we knew about the Tribe pretty much all game too from that Dust Shoot. So holding on to it, not going super aggro with 1600 vanilla mode, holding it, applying pressure with some of the, less valuable monsters, I would say. Starting out with the Mystic Swordsman, they answered that, went for Donzalug, they answered that, went for DD Warrior Lady. And so you just held this Tribe all game and ended up getting basically maximum value for it, answering BLS for free since you had Sinister in hand to go with it as well. So nice patience here out of Goat the Spicy, and they're rewarded by the ability to drop their opponent down to 2,000 life points, having answered multiple Chaos monsters already, and sitting quite nice here. Still no back row, though, so a little bit exposed, and we know this Chaos Sorcerer is just kind of rotting in hand, which is one of the unfortunate things about running these Chaos Warrior lists, right? Sorcerer is obviously an amazing card if you can enable it often and be able to play it. It's super powerful, but Warrior deck's generally not as good at enabling it as, of course, Chaos Turbo, which is, built around being able to do that with all the draw cards, the Thunder Dragons, all the lights and darks, right? Whereas Warrior is just kind of like a nice to have, like not really that great, not really that easy to set it up. That's why they generally only just play the BLS and not the Sorcerers, right? Because you might just kind of luck your way into Light plus Dark Engrave at some point as a Warrior player, and then BLS is live. But if you want to play multiple Chaos monsters, you kind of need to intentionally set up for them a lot of the time, which you might be able, which you kind of might struggle with, especially when you're trying to be a more aggressive deck. You might not be able to, you might not have the turns, the time to dirtle around and set stuff up like that when generally your opponent will have the inevitability in the matchup and you're the one who needs to apply the pressure, so you can't waste your time setting up for Chaos Sorcerers and stuff. Um, However, got the Spicy in a solid position here with the pressure advantage, so perhaps their inability to get access to the Sorcerer all game might not matter. And they've played well with the cards that they have that are live. Um, so potentially able to, you know, close out the game regardless of that. Dallas, though, still not out of it. Set a couple back row pass. No Mirror Force, no TT to worry about if you go the Spicy, so you can continue to just attack in here, or even add another monster. Basically, almost any monster in the deck except for Sinister represents lethal damage here. Gonna go recur that Serpent. Yeah, and we've got normal summon Ninja Grandmaster saying, I don't think you have any outs for this. Or at least not any like really good ones. So let's go attack for game. And there it is. Game one goes to Goat the Spicy here on this Chaos Warrior list versus Thalos, who seems to just be on a pretty standard turbo list. But yeah, really good stuff there. Applying pressure, being patient with their power cards from Goat the Spicy, and able to close out game one. Dallas will start us off game two here, of course. We'll see if they sided into anything spicy. If they are rocking that the world championship winning deck list, they do have the Chaos Control Smokescreen in the side deck with the capability to bring in Scapegoat and Metamorphosis. The idea being, of course, that those are two very good, the Goats package is very, very good against Warrior lists. So if you were rocking that, definitely would not be surprised to see that sided in here. Thalos just going to start out by setting a couple back row pass, so not the most amazing opening here. And now, if you were Thalos and if you were playing Dust Shoots, you probably sided them out. That's the standard strategy as Turbo against Warrior. And, we knew that Go the Spicy was running Sorcerer because we looked at the hand, but Thalos never saw anything besides just regular Warrior cards. So if they knew that they were running like a Chaos sort of list, maybe they would have kept Dust Shoot in, but unlikely to have it in here as well in game two. Go the Spicy, you're just going to go T-set pass, though. So potentially siding into or main decking some flip monsters. Pretty typical strategy for Warrior against Turbo lists is to main deck or side deck in some number of Gravekeeper Spies plus Mind Controls. Mindcon just good in general against Turbo. Because it's another way. It's basically like Nobleman of Crossout copies 3 and 4, essentially. But it's a lot better if you have spies of your own in case you mind control your opponent's Gravekeeper spy. So it's really common for Warrior decks to side in some number of spies in addition to Mindcons so that they can get maximum value out of those Mindcons. And also you kind of play the mind game, Turbo, like we said in game one, they -1 themselves with a Nobleman of Crossout plus Book of Moon combo, but that's actually probably the best case scenario against standard Warrior monsters because they just don't really give you a lot of stuff to knock, right? But then if you're the Warrior player, you can kind of play the side deck game of maybe I can, I know my opponent's going to take out their Nobleman of Crossouts probably, so now I can actually go side in Spies and Magician of Faiths and stuff like that because they won't have the answers left in their deck anymore. So it's kind of a will they, won't they game theory sort of thing going on there. Dallas here, though, we got Jar of Greed. Dig a little bit further. But go the Spicy after the resolve of draw. It's going to go fire off a trap Dust Shoot. So smartly waiting for them. I guess Thalos held draw phase prio, which is an interesting play. but Go the Spicy able to get a little bit more value out of their Dust Shoot by waiting until after the Jar of Greed. So not sure if that was the correct play there from Thalos, because it ended up making your opponent's cards a little bit better and yours a little bit worse. Let's go reveal these hands here. Thalos here, pretty trap-heavy hand. We've got Raigeki Break without really any good fodder. Solemn Judgment, which is good. Unfortunately, must have just drawn this off of the jar or something, because otherwise probably would have set most of their hand to play around the likely Dust Shoot. That's why it's kind of interesting. You would think that as the control deck against an aggro deck, you wouldn't want to side in a card like Solemn Judgment that costs you tons of life, because then it gives your opponent more pressure for free. But actually, the ability to safely set a bunch of back row and then protect it from Heavy Storm with Solemn Judgment to play around Trap Dust Shoot is very, very important for Chaos decks in the matchup, which is why you see Solemn Judgment as a common sideboard card, side deck card to come in against Warriors if you're playing these turbo lists. But yeah, Mirror Force makes sense. Tsukiyomi, really good card in the matchup. You know about Heavy Storm here as well, and then the Magician of Faith with really only the Heavy Storm to grab, depending on what this other back row is. If you're the Warrior player, we see their hand. They got their own Kaiku. They got Tsukiyomi. They got Tribe. You probably just want to send back Tsukiyomi here, because that answers two of your beaters here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that sent back. And yeah, Suk is going to get spun back right now. And then you know about a lot of back row if you're Go the Spicy. So it will be good to try and play around that if you can. Just going to pass here from Thalos. Not going to set any back row because Go the Spicy will just kind of have a good guess of what any of them are. So waiting to draw an additional card, at least get something unknown in the mix. So Go the Spicy can't just play with complete information. Pretty standard play there after getting Dust Shooted. And yeah, Go the Spicy looks like they either main decked or sided into some number of Gravekeeper Spies here. It's going to resolve, and we're setting it in attack position. We know, you're going to flip Spy regardless of if this set monster or if this set back row is Torrential. So no need to not flip it to play around it. And we know the Mirror Force is in hand, so there's not really a lot to stop you from just going double aggro here and start getting in for 2,400. And Thalos is just going to take that 2,400 with that Mirror Force stuck in hand, unfortunately. That is the one downside of Thalos' play of just not setting anything, because now Go the Spicy has perfect information of what is in your hand and what they do not have to play around, right? For at least this one turn. So Thalos kind of making a short-term investment, spending some life points essentially to kind of keep a little bit more information hidden in the future. But Go the Spicy getting pretty much a maximum punish here by just going attack mode Spy and getting aggro in the interim. Just going to pass here. So the Spies are a little bit exposed here. 1,200 attack points is not a lot, even against a deck with a bunch of tiny monsters like Chaos Turbo. But you know they don't have anything to beat over them in hand that we've seen so far. Just going to add a bunch of back row pass. You have to assume one of those is going to be Solemn Judgment. One of them is going to be Mirror Force. And we also knew about Raigeki Break, but there could be some unknowns in the mix as well. But I would not be surprised to see Go the Spicy play around Mirror Force here if they could. And they do. Send a Spy to defense position, get in for 12. Thalos allows that. Go the Spicy does have a back row here, just to shake things up a little bit, keep Thalos on their toes. Ooh, and it is a Trap Dust Shoot. Thalos drawing up to exactly 4 cards in hand, not holding Prio, not discarding anything. And that is going to resolve, so let's see those hands again. So Thalos was able to draw into... Okay, so they kept the Raigeki Break in hand, or they drew a second one, and that's face down on the field. But likely one unknown on the field, that's the back row, plus the one that from turn 1 that we didn't know already. So, one of the sets is Mirror Force, one of the sets is Solemn Judgment. Heavy still in hand, kind of being awkward because the rest of your hand was a lot of back row that you want to set. And then they drew into a Dead Sork here. So you actually don't have a lot, you don't really have too many good targets here with the Dust Shoot, but just getting the information is pretty valuable here. I guess you probably send back the Faith, because why not? At least it's like a live card. It'll block damage, whereas this Sork is nowhere close to being live. Yeah, so sending back the Faith I think makes sense. And go with the spicy. Looks like they drew into a Donzalug at some point, which is pretty good card against Turbo. But you do have that Mirror Force to play around, so you don't want to get super aggressive just yet. Yeah, Thalos still without a lot of options. Gonna set a back row pass, probably that Raigeki break. Go with Spicy, drew Upstart for turn. Thin the deck a little bit. Go get in for 12, continue to apply the pressure. But the unknown from turn 1 was a Sakuretsu armor. Okay. Pretty standard card to bring in against Warrior. Not a favorable trade, though, card advantage wise, right? Because the Spy plus already. You're basically trading a full card for like 3/4 of a card, is kind of how I think about it. So you're happy about that if you're going with the Spicy. Thalos just needing to protect their life points. So having to make this negative trade. I'm gonna get a set monster pass here from Goat the Spicy. Interesting to think what that would be. I guess it could be the Donzalug. It does have more defense than offense, and it's not like you're going to be attacking this turn anyway. So Don makes sense. They did draw an unknown off of the upstart as well, so it could be something that we don't know about, of course. Dallas just going to draw, set a back row pass. Okay. Go with the Spicy. Yeah, it was that Donzalug that we knew about. Going to flip summon that. Get in for 14. Are you going to expend the Mirror Force or Raigeki Break on this if you're Thalos? Oh, we got another Sakuretsu that was drawn. Nice. Okay. So still holding on to that Mirror Force. And Donzalug will not be able to connect and start ripping cards out of the hand, so you're pretty happy about that if you're Thalos. Ooh, got the Spicy Drew Duo for a turn, so going to rip out both cards in hand. Now you got to make the call. You know you have Raigeki Break set if you're Thalos, so do you want to use it now? Bolt the Spy? Because otherwise you lose the cards anyway. So you have to make the call of, like, do you think you'll have a better use for this Raigeki Break down the line? We're going to chain Raigeki Break, discarding one of the cards to kill the Spy. And then Duo ends up hitting the known Heavy Storm. So honestly, not the biggest impact Duo here out of Goat the Spicy, because you hit two basically dead cards. But you did force out the Raigeki Break in kind of a negative trade, just getting, you know, a single face-up Spy. So you're probably fine with this if you're Goat the Spicy. Essentially traded one and a little bit, like 1 3/4 of a card for 3 cards, but 2 of them were super dead. All right, so kind of a wash, I would say. But Warrior just kind of generally wants to simplify these game states anyway, so you're happy just trading cards all around. And then here, main phase 2. Are we just going to pass from the Spicy? That's what they would have done in previous turns, but no, we're going to get set monster pass. Could be a lot of things. Dallas has Jar to draw a little bit further in the deck. Oh, and they found a Zumbira the Dark, a very good card in the matchup to beat over most of Warrior's monsters and just kind of wall them out. It's going to go and attack that set. And that is Tsukuyomi. Ah, interesting. So, not sure if that was truly necessary if you're going with the Spicy. It's actually pretty bad into Zumbira specifically because you flip it face down. And then it'll just reset to 2100. So actually kind of really bad if you think about it. The difference between 1900 and 2100 isn't too big of a deal right now, but the difference between 1900 and 1700 is pretty big when you know you have the Kaiku in hand. So resetting your opponent's Zumbira on a dubiously set Tsukuyomi is like basically the maximum punish for this here. Unless you can just normal summon and beat over the Zumbira, but you do know there's Mirror Force that Thalos has, so unless you have Heavy Storm or something to, or like an MST to deal with it, kind of not a great trade. So yeah, so we'll get normal summon Tribe. Okay, saying like, okay, what is the card that I least care about getting Mirror Forced here? That's totally fair. Although, if you know you're going to get Mirror Forced, you'd probably rather have Tribe as an out to Zumbira later on. Unless you just don't see yourself wanting to discard any of the cards in your hand. But yeah, we're going to get Tribe attack the Zumbira. The Mirror Force will come out as expected. And now, I hope you have another out to the Zumbira, other than Tribe. I'm just going to pass turn here. So Thalos, the Zumbira lives. It's going to be able to wall out here, and they do have the Sangan here to start applying some pressure. So Thalos potentially stabilizing here with the Zumbira and starting to apply some pressure here, potentially turning the corner. Go to Spicy, we got Reinforcement of the Army. A lot of good cards in deck to grab with that. Something like a DD Warrior Lady can deal with the Sangan quite nicely. Something like an Exiled Force can deal with the Zombira quite nicely. We'll see what they choose to go for. Gonna grab a Ninja Grandmaster Sasuke, which is not what I would have expected. But perhaps you got Chaos Monsters rotting in hand here, considering the extreme passivity we've seen out of them so far this game. That would make sense, and so maybe you just want to grab a light monster if you can. Now we're gonna get Premature Burial. So I guess Tribe getting Mirror Force isn't a huge issue because you had the Premature in hand that I knew about, so it's not the end of the world. And that gets you an outlet to get your Light Monster in grave as well, right? If you roted for... Yeah, kind of a neat play if you roted for Ninja Grandmaster just to get a light to discard a Tribe and turn on your Chaos Monsters. It's a big brain play. We're gonna get Premature, presumably reviving Tribe. Yep. That will resolve. Do we use Prio here? Prio discard the Ninja Grandmaster, getting a light engrave. Probably gonna pop the Zombira, I would have to guess. Yep, because you can just beat over the Sangan. And then that gets you the light engrave. So yeah, big brain play there. Rotoing just for a light here. And then Premature on the Tribe. Setting up Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning here. Great way to deal with Sangan, for example. You know there is no Mirror Force to deal with here, so the play is probably... Well, do you just have game? You do just have game. But two Saku's gone. Yeah, I mean, depends on what this back row is. Well, you know the back row is Solemn, right? The back row has to be Solemn. So presumably Thalos has to Solemn this, right? Otherwise, it's just game, right? Because you just have Tribe over Sangan, or I mean, BLS over Sangan, BLS direct, and then Tribe direct is game. So Thalos has to Solemn this. And that's what we see. And then we've got normal summon Kaiku, which is huge. And is this game 800 plus? No, it's not game just yet. But you are going to be able to connect with a Kaiku here, which is huge in this matchup. Take your opponent off of Darks. Oh, wait, no. Do you just win? Yeah, you just win. You just go Tribe, kill the Sangan, and then you win. Or Snatch. Snatches. Snatch works too. That's even cleaner. And there you go. Wow. Okay. 2-0. Chaos Warrior taking down Chaos Turbo. Just too much offense in game one. Thalos always on the back foot, and Go the Spicy just kept applying that pressure. And here in game two, pretty much a similar story. Getting super aggro with these Gravekeeper Spies here. Early Dust Shoot both games allowed Go the Spicy to just kind of play with perfect info here. Was able to bait out stuff like Raigeki Breaks and Mirror Forces and Solemns. And then just, had the threats to capitalize once the board state was simplified, which is, Warrior Plan A, essentially. So really cool match here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Excited to celebrate 2 straight weeks of GOAT format feature matches. And I will catch you all next time.